So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this super easy sort of mixed media mouse illustration. As usual, I'll list all the brushes I'm using for this in the description, along with a free sketch and color palette. Now, I've already got the sketch and colors placed in here like this as the very top layers, and I've also set the transparency of both of those layers to multiply so we can see through them. And to start painting, the first thing I need to do is lay down a background wash of the main color. So I'm going to do a long press to grab this red. I'm going to use the abstract round, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I usually do. I'm going to use this at a medium size, and I'm going to try my best to go around the sketch here and make a clean edge so I don't have to erase it and correct it later. And once I reach the end, I'm going to continue this kind of one long stroke and fill out the whole silhouette here. And after that, I'm going to go over it one more time to make it a little bit darker and richer, and I'm using quite a bit of pressure on this kind of second pass. And the reason I did it this way is because I want this kind of natural edge to form. I think this makes this material look kind of soft and fluffy, and that matches the glove. Now in some areas there are a little bit of mistakes, and you don't have to fix this, but if you want to, it's easy. We can just use the liquefy tool, set to push, and I can just use it to kind of nudge these back and match the sketch a little bit better, but it still maintains that edge texture. And after that, I'm going to continue on this same layer and do the tassel, but I'm going to change my brush to the hard edge brush, same red color, but just at a smaller size, and I'm going to do it like this. And for the string here, this is pretty easy, but there's a trick I want to show you. So I'll do this on its own layer. I'll grab the string color. Since I want the string to be kind of rough and scratchy, I'm going to use the little pine brush in the drawing tab. Kind of a bigger size than I usually use it as. And I'll just draw the string like this. There we go. Now I'm going to turn off the sketch just for now. And the string here is very straight and smooth. But this is a very thin string, so I want it to look sort of lanky. So to get that effect, I'm going to use the liquefy tool again at a small size. And I'm just going to go kind of back and forth, and doing it this way just makes the string look a little bit thinner and more delicate. Next, I want to kind of section off the different portions of the glove. So I'm going to turn the sketch back on. I'll make sure the glove layer is selected. And I'm going to use the selection tool set to freehand. And first, I'm going to select this whole area like this. I'm going to go to hue, saturation, and brightness, and I'm going to brighten it just a little bit, and then desaturate it. There we go. After that, I'm going to make another selection that just covers the inner portion, and this is the one I'm going to darken. And I think before we move on and do the mouse, I want to finish up the glove and do all the various textures. So for that, I'm going to make a blank layer above the glove, and I'm going to start by adding a little bit of an edge texture. So I'm going to grab my red color again. I'm going to switch my brush back to the watercolor brushes and use the fine liner pen. Basically anything kind of small and opaque will work for this. And I want to make sure the color matches. It looks like it's a little bit too dark, so I'll lighten it up. There we go. And I'm just going to use this and go along the edge and add a couple of lines like this, just to give it a sort of scratchy feeling along the edges. After that, I'll make a layer above this, and I'm going to use pure white, same fine liner pen, and I'm just going to make some kind of lines like this all over it. Again, kind of reinforcing this kind of scratchy wool texture. And of course, since we used pure white, this effect is too strong, so I'm just going to adjust the opacity and set it to a point where it looks good. There we go. And for the last texture, I want to add some lines here on the hem of the glove. So I'll make another blank layer. And this time I'm going to use a dark red color. Same fine liner pen though. And I'll just draw these in like this. And if I turn off the sketch, you can see that my lines here went a little bit beyond the edge. So I'm going to clean them up with the eraser brush, which is also set to the fine liner pen. And now that all the patterns and textures for the glove are finished, I'm going to merge them all into one layer just to keep this organized. Then I'm going to make a blank layer above everything, and this is where I'm going to paint the mouse. And the main problem for the mouse is, if we turn on the sketch, we can barely see those sketch lines. So just to make this easier, I'm going to change the transparency mode of the sketch to divide. And this lets us see the lines. It's a little bit weird looking, so I'm going to lower the opacity. And then I'm just going to change my color to pure white. And I'm going to use any kind of scratchy brush. I think the little pine is good for this. And I'm just going to fill out the silhouette of the mouse. And once everything is filled in using the brush at a small size, I'm going to go over the body of the mouse one more time with the same brush, just at a larger size to make it more opaque. Now at the bottom here, I want there to be a pretty clean edge, so I'm going to use the eraser brush to clean that up. And for the rest of the details on the mouse, I'm going to continue with the little pine brush. I'm just going to use black this time. But I can't see the sketch anymore because we're working on white, so I'm going to switch the transparency of the sketch back to multiply. And then I can just continue on a new layer, just like I did before. And at this point, the illustration is pretty much done. There's just one more trick I want to show you. So I'm going to turn off the sketch and the color palette. I'm going to merge everything for the illustration together onto one layer, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a skew. So to do that, I'm going to grab the arrow tool, set it to distort, and I'm going to tip this guy a little bit away from the direction of the skew, just like that. And then I'm going to grab this middle blue node and bend it forward a little bit. And this is just a subtle thing I do to a lot of my illustrations that gives all the lines in them a little bit of perspective and energy. And just like that, this simple illustration is all finished. I'd really love your feedback on this tutorial. And if you think I've earned it, please give it a like. If you're looking for more simple tutorials like this one, I think you might love to watch one of these two next.